So guys, I want you to welcome to the webinar tonight, Mr. Dan Earl himself, and his last name is also Haddad. Did I say that correctly?
Haddad or Haddad, I don't really care.
Haddad or Haddad. I'll go with Haddad. Dan Earl. I'm going to call you Danny.
That works.
How about that? All right. This guy is a machine. He is, we're going to talk about what kind of business he's spinning here in a little bit, but let's just get a little background. I was just telling Dan, it's so important for each one of you in Amazon Seller Tribe to hear someone that you can potentially relate to, someone that maybe you say, oh, that's kind of like me. That's how I think, or that's how I look at things. And then you can begin to see that what's possible for them can also be possible for you. So hopefully this builds your faith in yourself and your ability to sell on Amazon. And also it gives us occasion to celebrate the many successes. And speaking of successes, Dan has had them. And Dan, just tell me a little bit about what your life looks like out there on the East Coast. And be specific. Tell me that where you live, because I can't say it like you can. And I'm going to give you full permission to say it the way people normally say it out there. So anyway, tell me a little bit about your life out there in Winterville right now, Snowland right now.
First of all, thank you for having me on. I think it's Boston. I can never quite tell if I'm doing the accent right or not. I'll let others decide. I actually live about 20 minutes south of Boston. I work out of a warehouse about 20 minutes from here. So, just getting me out of the house is a huge difference in getting work done and stuff. So my day to day is not really as, I guess, organized as some people might believe, or as a lot of people experience in their own life. I'm very much a night owl. I'll wake up around 11, 12 in the afternoon, and that's probably my biggest weakness. Is I know how much more I can get done if I were to work in the mornings. But I'll just basically wake up in the afternoon, get going. I get to my warehouse around 1 or 2. I have a prepper, so she's doing a lot of the work there, handling any MF orders I have. And then I just grind for the day. I just keep going till I feel like I have done enough for the day. And usually it's around 8 or 9, and I'll just be up for a few hours after that, eating, watching TV, poking around on Facebook, or, doing OA kind of thing. So
you're a single man, so you can do that.
Yes.
I mean, you don't have somebody else kind of structuring your schedule for you. So you can still do that and, play the video games till all hours of the night if you need to, right? And let's go back to what your background was. Did you have a background in business or retail or anything that related to selling on Amazon?
Well, when I turned 16, I started working at Stop and Shop, the grocery store up in this area. I worked there actually for 10 years, way too long for anybody to work there. But then, I went to college. I did the whole college thing. I somehow found myself in the TV program, and then I ended up, graduating with a degree in communication. And I worked at NESN, the New England Sports Network, which is, the regional network that airs the Red Sox and Bruins. I was there for 8 years before I finally left a couple of years back. And I'm glad I actually got use out of my degree. And because I know a lot of people who were in the TV program that didn't do anything with TV. And
Now, I mean, you really had some
significant.
You really had some significant projects. I mean, let's drill on that just a little bit and tell me what you did. You were in video editing and getting replays and things like that up for broadcasts.
Yeah. So when I finally left, the job I had was basically editing all the pregame, all the video for the pregame shows. And then typically that was my day. I would do the pregame show and then I'm done for the day, which is the best shift in the whole building because you'd be leaving by 7 o'clock and you can do whatever you want for the night. But I was also other days I had to cut all the video for the post game show, and sometimes for the Bruins for the intermission shows, which is a lot of editing on the fly. It's like live editing. If you ever, it's what they use in the truck. If you ever
Yes.
watch a sporting game and they show a replay in slow motion, it's
Right.
using a machine that does all that, and you compile a bunch of clips and play them out, based on however sequence you're looking for. So
Right. And
during
this
games, I'd be
happens very
listening.
quickly.
Oh yeah, big time. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure too because you're just constantly meeting deadlines. You got
Right.
to do everything, the right way. And if you do something wrong, then you got the producer in your ear screaming at you. What the hell are
Right.
you doing?
Right. So that could be, I mean, that's a great training platform for the pressure you might feel as an Amazon seller. But it doesn't necessarily, it wasn't like you came from business experience or you weren't an accountant, you weren't a retail um, uh, uh, owner, shop owner, or that sort of thing that transitions nicely to Amazon. So that's kind of a leap. You're in television production and you leap over, and all of a sudden you're in Amazon selling. So tell us how that leap took place.
Well, it actually kind of started because I graduated from a private school and I shouldn't have gone there for as long as I did. But it was way too expensive for somebody that was getting the degree that I got. But nonetheless, I graduated with way too much money, and I just saw that there was no hope in ever, ever, ever paying it off.
Right,
I thought I was going to be stuck with $80,000 debt forever.
right,
That's it. You know, I was still living in my parents' house, in the basement and all that jazz. So I was just really looking for anything to get out. I remember looking for jobs that where I could be, loss prevention at like Banana Republic or something. I never
right,
got any responses on stuff like that.
right,
I even looked into doing sleep studies, where you stay for 39 days and they keep you up for, 40 hours and then,
right,
whatever, all these crazy things. And I never actually finally applied, but I looked into it. I was serious about trying to make some money and do something. So,
right. You were
um,
hustling. You were ready
yeah,
to hustle.
that pretty much. I mean,
Yeah,
it turned into me like, I don't know what kind of clued me in, but I remember just thinking, oh, I got, old goalie pads I can sell. Those are worth 50,
right,
$60.
right.
So I started just selling off the random junk that I had already that I wasn't using. And then I kind of just found out you can, go to yard sales and thrift stores and
Right. And you were
buy
doing
with the
this on
intention to
eBay,
resell.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
So
the eBay was really your platform.
yeah. Just eBay.
Selling.
I did, yeah, for the first, 6, 7 months reselling, I did all eBay. And then I found out that anybody could just sell on Amazon. I thought it had to, be big companies at the time. And I just saw a little logo that said sell on Amazon or something. I was like, oh crap, why am I not doing this?
Right,
And it,
right.
just kind
What
of went
what
from
year
there.
was that?
I'll just say that again.
What year was that?
2014 was when I did the eBay. Is the summer 2014, and then December is when I finally sold my first item on Amazon.
So I think you said you sold your first item on Amazon December 28,
Yep.
2014.
Yes.
So anyone who's listening to this right now and is like, well, it's already December 21st. I probably don't have any chance. Let me just, wait until next year. What would you say to them?
Why bother waiting? I mean, there's
Come
no reason
on.
to.
Why bother waiting?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Andy Slamans always says the best time to sell on Amazon was 15 years ago. The second best time is today. You
yeah.
know, I
Yep.
mean, you've got to start somewhere, don't you?
Yep.
So you sort of made that transition very quickly because you realized that eBay didn't have the power and the steam that Amazon did for what you were doing, and you probably, I would suspect, although I've never been to Boston, yeah, I would suspect that there are a lot of RA opportunities up there. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's actually a ton of RA up here. People always ask me, like, someone like Jameson or Sean Patrick, who they, sometimes go on cross country trips and stuff. They always ask me, "Are you going to do any trips?" I'm like that. I don't really need to. There's
Right,
so much RA around me. Like, there's
right,
not enough for just me to hit, in a
right,
week or whatever. So, I've gone on trips where I'm, 4 or 5 hours out, but I always end up coming back just because, there's still plenty to do.
right.
So I've never
Exactly.
really had to do it. Maybe I'd like to someday, but I don't really have
Right.
any need to
It's
do it
not
at
like
this
you
point.
need to travel for.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah, like you said, I know some people who their closest store is like 3 hours away. Like I'd just say forget it. I'm doing all the way at that point.
Well, we have Chris Williams and Stephanie Williams who drive through snowstorms in Idaho to get 4 hours away to Boise so they can RA.
Well, see, that's smart
So,
because snowstorms, I always love shopping during snowstorms because no one's out in the stores.
come on.
You move quicker to me. I don't know. That's just me though.
Come on. Well, guys are like that too. As soon as it snows, they want to jump in the car or the truck and start doing donuts in the middle of the street. That must be in the DNA. I don't know. So now you're doing arbitrage, retail arbitrage, mostly retail arbitrage as your model, or do you do online arbitrage as well? Do you have PL? What kind of mix do you have?
I'm way heavier in OA than I am in RA. If I had to guess, it's like 90% OA compared to like 10% RA. I do occasionally do some wholesale, not nearly enough as I should be, and it's something I'm definitely going to work on going into next year. But yeah, it's mostly OA. I just like it's so much easier for me to spend, $15,000 in a day in, just a couple hours. Like I know a few my like regular places I buy from, I can easily spend, that much in like 2 orders. So
Right.
it's just much easier for me to have it all come back to me. My employee comes in the morning, she just starts prepping whatever's there. So
Gotcha. And so would you say that your company is basically yourself and your prepper, or do you have other team members?
it's just the two of us for now. I do need to get somebody else in there to kind of handle more of the everyday regular stuff,
Gotcha.
uh, responding to customers, sending out the FBA shipments, that kind of thing. I'm just spending way too much time doing that myself, and I got to cut that out because,
Yeah. You're ready to
time is money.
outsource and put the pedal to the metal on the grow. We're
Yeah.
going to get to the numbers in just a little bit, so bear with us, guys, because you're going to be astonished. You're going to say, "What? This dude? He sleeps until noon and wanders down to his warehouse and is doing those kinds of numbers." Yeah, this dude is. So hang on just a little bit. We're going to get there. What kind of mindset did you find developing in you at as you started selling on Amazon? You were kind of used to that high pressure, fast response situation with your career in video editing, sports video editing, and you're an athlete yourself.
Mhm.
You enjoy those fast action sports and getting pummeled in hockey, right? Which kind of surprised me that you said you were a goalie.
Yep.
Um, but so I guess that kind of primes you for some of the things that Amazon throws at you. But what kind of mindset started developing in you as you began to grow what has become your company on Amazon?
I think it was just kind of the mindset of like independence. I didn't want to have to rely on anybody else, to help me out kind of thing. Although, working in a TV station, it's such a team environment. I do really miss working with a team kind of thing. But being able to come and go as I please really is such a selling point for me. And not having, not being locked into being at this place at this exact time or
Yeah.
even later, because, sports goes on forever sometimes. Um, even though a lot of times I work way longer now than I ever did, working for someone else.
Yeah.
But I know how much needs to be done, and I just keep going. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just I can't.
Don't you think
I
it's
feel guilty sometimes when I'm not working because I know there's so much that needs to be done.
right? But it is still different though when it's you're working for yourself. You're working for the goals that you've set for yourself. You're working for the income that is at fingertip reach. That's different than working for somebody else, working a 8-hour day
Oh, yeah.
for somebody else. You could work a 15-hour day for yourself as an entrepreneur. It doesn't feel as burdensome, does it?
No, yeah, yeah, you're right. Because there's a lot of nights where, my employee Maggie, she'll leave around 7 o'clock. That's, her regular ending hour. And I know after she leaves, I'm going to be here for another 5 hours packing up as much junk as, she just prepped. And yeah, a lot of times the time just flies by. I don't even realize. I'm like, oh, that only felt like 2 hours. And it's like, oh my God, I got to go to sleep in, an hour and a half,
Right.
or as soon as I get home.
Right.
I can't prevent myself from doing it. I just have to keep going. I don't know. It's a weird mindset, I think.
It is. I mean, you get kind of addicted to the hustle. You get kind of addicted to the work, and it's
I
also
think,
different when it's on you that it has to be done too.
yeah, and I think honestly, I think a lot of it is like the current version of me looking out for tomorrow's version of me, which I know I start out very lazy. So I don't want to have to deal with whatever I left over. I'd rather get this done tonight and while I'm up motivated for it. So
So you feel like you're a procrastinator.
oh, big time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
always
once you
been one of
get
my,
going, you better
yeah,
stay going for a
that's one
while.
of my biggest, yeah, biggest
Right.
traits for sure.
Yeah. So I told you I have four children and they're all about your same age. And I have one, my youngest is the procrastinator.
Hmm.
Basically, he's like, I don't want to make a decision. So I'm not going to make a decision until the very
You
last
have
minute
to.
that I have to make a decision. And then I'm not going to act on the decision until a while. And then he's just like you. He's a computer programmer and he's just like you. But once he starts working, he'll work 15, 18 hours before he lifts his head and looks around.
Yeah.
And he just kind of gets in the zone.
Hmm.
So, it takes, what's so interesting about the Amazon platform is so many different kinds of people can succeed here. It doesn't have to be a certain wiring, used to in brick and mortar retail, it had to be kind of a certain wiring of person. You had to be there at 6 a.m. and you had to sweep off the sidewalk and open the door, and 7, a.m. you had to be managing your employees and,
Yeah.
hustling product. And this is a whole different kind of thing. And it's amazing that it appeals to so many different people.
That's really part of the draw for me is, like you said, you're not locked into doing it 9 to 5, or you have to have this place open, and somebody covering it there. You can do it on your own leisure. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously there's plenty of people in this group that are doing it part-time,
Right.
when they're not working. And that's, how I did it a lot when I
Right.
first started. So that is, and part of the real big appeal for me is not having to talk to people that you're trying. I'm not a salesman. I can't, convince you to buy this for
Right.
this overpriced item.
Right.
I'd rather just put it for sale at it's somewhere there where it's available, and
Sure.
they'll just take it. So
Right.
that is appealing too, just having it online kind of thing versus like a brick and mortar where,
Sure. Sure.
maybe I could do that someday, but it's not something I'm really interested in at this time. So
Right. Right. When did it occur to you that you are building a company?
when it was probably like it's early 2017, or actually probably a few months before that, when I'd be sitting at my job, and my job is in the middle of the day. Like I'd work 10:30 to 7, and that's the best time to go out shopping and do all those kinds of things. And to be honest, I would a lot of times get to work at 10:30. I would sit around for an hour and a half. Usually there's not much for me to do in the morning. It's just figure out whatever. And I would go shopping for 2 hours during my lunch break. And there was a bunch of thrift stores and RA stores in the area, so I would just hit all the stores near me, and I'd come back and start doing all the real work for the pregame show. But I got to a point where I'd be sitting there, and I even told my boss this when I eventually put in my 2 weeks or whatever, my notice, and I actually gave him like a 6 months notice because I knew it was going to happen. Um, I basically told him I feel like I'm losing money by working here, even though I was making, 25 bucks an hour, it's nothing to sneeze at, but I know I could be making a lot more if I focus all my efforts on my business rather than, sitting here, where a lot of times I'm sitting here doing nothing. And, he doesn't have to know that, but
Yeah. Right. Right. You're sitting there, and the clock hasn't
I'm
let
sitting there looking
clock
at my
out
Amazon
yet.
stuff, looking to
Yeah,
buy other
and you're
things.
clicking off. You're like, oh, and this
Yeah.
time I already just made this amount of money. I could have bought this much in this
Yeah.
time. Yeah, it takes on a whole life of its own. So that's when you said, wait a minute, I am probably costing myself money
Yeah.
by staying at my 9 to 5 or 10:30 to 7.
Yeah.
I'm costing myself money. I'm holding myself back. So, was it scary for you to make that transition?
Yeah, for sure. I remember it was in May of 2017 when I left, but I remember in that March I went to um, ASD for the first time in
Right.
Vegas, and I remember sitting by the pool, like I know it's coming up as soon as the Bruins season was as soon as the Bruins season was ending, that's when I was going to leave. Um, I remember just thinking like this is really scary. I mean, what am I going to do? But I remember going to a conference not long after that, I think, where somebody was kind of asked a similar question, and they said, "What are you going to do if if your business ever fails?" I said, "Well, I'll just get a job. I mean, you're not going to just
It,
not work. You'll do something.
right.
I mean,
Exactly. It's
so
always
it's
there.
like, yeah, I mean, the job I had, it's something that you could pretty much go to any city that has a sports team and, maybe
Yeah.
not get a job right away, but you could work in, freelance and stuff. And
Right.
I could even still freelance now if I
Right.
wanted to, but, it's just one of those things where if
Right.
you got to either take a risk on yourself or you're never going to take a risk at all kind of thing, I feel like.
Right. Right. And you were young enough that you said, I'm okay with making the sleep. I was looking
Yeah.
for a job when I found that job. Right.
Right. It was easier for me too because I'm single. I don't have kids. I have nobody relying on me at the moment. I guess now I have an employee, which is actually kind of scary because she needs my money. So, um, but yeah, at the time it was pretty easy in that regard. Like I said, I didn't have anybody that I had to really worry about.
So, what your first full year of selling on Amazon, do you remember what your sales figure was, your sales level at
I
the end of that
think
first year?
I think it was 75,000 that first year. And that was mostly selling, used video games, used board games were good at the time. I sold a lot of books then too. So I think it was mostly just used stuff until maybe that Q4, I finally started dipping my toe into RA. And I think it kind of went that way for the next year or two, where I was mostly thrifting, selling used stuff until I was able to, get
Right,
the credit scores to get good
right,
credit cards and, get the capital to really
right,
go deeper on kind of things.
right. It always amazes me in Amazon Seller Tribe during the interviews and the interactions that we have with people, how many people have really started just by bootstrapping their business. They didn't come into it with a lot of cash in their pocket or a lot of clean credit. I didn't have any credit,
Yeah.
when we started. I mean, my sister, she actually had a credit card, I think, from Dress Barn. That's how she was building her credit, outside, because with the spouses, you always have it's always tied up there.
Hmm.
And so on our own, we had to get up on our little wobbly legs. And but it's so powerful to when you bootstrap it like that and you don't have this besetting debt that you're dragging around as you're trying to build your business. And also, there's something about growing into yourself, isn't there? You have to learn to grow into what you're capable of and then find people when you're not very capable in that area, too.
Hmm.
Um, when did you take on a prepper?
Well, I had a little bit of help. I would just have, a friend help every now and then, but I finally actually hired somebody last June. She, where my warehouse is, it's like an old building, where it's got just a ton of different units within it. And it's got like artists and all kinds of businesses and,
Gotcha.
this and that units,
Gotcha.
storage units kind of thing as well. But she actually rented one of the units down the hall from me, and somebody that she knew asked if I needed any help. I said, actually, yeah, I think I do need someone that, a couple times a week for the moment, but we'll see how it goes from there.
Right.
Um, yeah, so she started helping me a few times a week, and funny enough, she actually worked at Amazon at the time for the first, I think, 4 or 5 months that she worked for me. So I was able to kind of get, her side of what she experiences and stuff,
So
while she
when,
was
did she
doing
work at a fulfillment center? So you were kind of getting inside scoop.
it. Yeah,
How's
she
your
was
product end up over there and what
pretty
happens to
much,
it?
yeah. She said,
How
they
should I
got
prep it?
she would ship out the orders, from the fulfillment center, and
Gotcha.
she'd, they'd have a list of the items that the item would come down a belt or whatever, and they'd have, each item would be assigned a box number or, envelope number or whatever.
Gotcha.
That's why, you'll get your items sometimes where it's small in a giant box, where
Right.
it's just what it is, and it's faster to just box it up rather than
Right.
find a different box.
Right.
She would tell me things like that, and I always thought, that was kind of interesting. So
Well, that's interesting that she had an inside scoop, and now she's prepping and shipping the stuff for other people working there.
right,
I bet
yeah.
she gets a chuckle out of that sometimes.
Yeah.
When she. What categories do you feature in your business? Do you feature one category more than another, or are you general merchandise across the board?
I do mostly toys right now. And it's not even like I purposely was trying to do toys. I just, you find one lead on from a VA, you reverse search or whatever, you Google it, you find 20 more of this very similar items, and all of a sudden you're buying that item all the time,
Right.
and so it just kind of happened that way. I was actively trying with, I don't know if you know her, Linez Gonzalez. She
Yeah.
is,
Yes. Yes, she's in our tribe.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, of course you know her.
Yeah.
She, her and I work very closely together. We're kind of like business partners, with everything we do. So I know like everything she buys, she knows everything I buy. But she owns a salon in Miami, so we're for a while using her connections to try to buy beauty supplies to resell
Right.
on Amazon. And
Right.
it kind of faded away. Just we've been focused on other things that we haven't done any of that for a while. But I
Right.
was really pushing to go towards beauty and anything replenishable that everybody's buying all the time, and I actually sold
Right.
toilet paper for a long time before COVID started. So I was buying up, pallets of toilet paper and price gouging the hell out of it. And then all of a sudden there's,
You were buying toilet
pandemic, and
paper
now it's
before
illegal.
toilet paper was cool.
Yeah, exactly. So
Ah,
I was really into selling those kind of things because I
yes.
know everybody's going to keep on buying toilet
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I only got almost no returns because who's going to return toilet paper? So
Yes.
so I was doing that for a long time, and now it's just, everything happened, and it's just I've just kind of pivoted to what's hot, and my replens, whatever I can find really. I'm not against selling any particular categories. I don't do like tons of clothes or anything, but if I find good deals, I'll
Sure.
buy them all day. I don't care.
Sure. ABS, always be sourcing, always be scanning, always be selling, right?
That's right.
So now, fast forward to 2020. This has been crazy time or crazy year for everyone, and we all in the beginning looked at 2020. We weren't sure what was going to happen when COVID came down, and but you found some rocket fuel there, and just kept on the grow, didn't you?
Yeah, and it really started, from the end of January, and with the masks. I found out about the masks, started selling the crap out of those, and then we went to Unconference, in Orlando. I think you were there. I don't know
Yep.
if I'd met you there at that
Well,
point.
the year before I was there.
Okay, I was there year before, but so I was there this past year, and I remember telling Linez, like, okay, we just had a good Q4, let's relax, we'll hang out. And then she's like, Dan, I just found out that all the Office Depots in the area have sanitizer. We have to go get them. I said, I was planning on doing nothing this whole weekend. And then it turned into us sourcing over like the entire state of Florida, looking for every single stupid thing of sanitizer. And it was a good thing we did because we made a lot of money that week. We had all the sanitizer sold within like a day. So we drove back down to Miami where her house is, and we just shipped it all up from there. And I just remember like, I was really looking forward to relaxing that weekend, and she wouldn't let me do it. But it's been a grind all year long. And again, I can't wait to relax. I'm kind of hoping that something like that doesn't pop up at least for a good week while I can, sit around and do nothing.
You do need a little poolside. we all do at this point. We're like, maybe we could take a breather. So now you hit the wave, you rode the wave on several things. And your 2020 has ended. I'm not sure if this is a rolling 12 or your year to date. You tell me. But I would like you to share, if you will, be so kind to share with the people that number that we're going to celebrate tonight?
Currently, as of right now, year to date, I'm at 2.65 million.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Mowing his way to the $3 million mark. Jonathan Cleater, do you hear him? He's coming for you, bro. He is coming for you fast. He's coming for you. 2.650. Let's call it, right?
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Give or take. Actually, it's a little, might be a little less because I sold some, Lynette sold some stuff on my account. So she's always happy to hear that.
So how does it feel to be spinning a $2.5 million business?
Honestly, I kind of feel the same as when I just started, I guess. Like it's some of it, a lot of it's overwhelming. When I send stuff out, I don't really recognize it's like, oh yeah, there's $20,000 going out the door. It's just, okay, there's more stuff going out the door. What else do I have to send out today? You know?
Right.
And it doesn't feel like what it is, because I still feel very disorganized in a lot of ways. I know there's so many things I can improve. So in a lot of ways, it still feels kind of like a hustle, but it's still like, a solid number to look at and say, hey, I think I'm doing
well,
a
I
pretty
should
good job.
say this is a solid number. Everybody send a shout out to Dan Earl for what I would call a really, really sweet, solid number. Let me pick up on something you said there. You said, he still doesn't feel like, a little bit disorganized. Let me ask you this. Is there a CEO inside of Dan Earl?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I feel like I'm the kind of person that would rather just do the work rather than like oversee everything. I remember even thinking like 2 years ago, I mean, seeing what Dan Wentworth does, I don't necessarily know if I want to oversee a team across the country. I'm very much the kind of person that I feel like I have to know what's going on in my business at all times. I have to know what I'm selling and buying, but again, that could be just holding me back as far as that goes and not letting go of some parts of the business. Maybe as I do grow and hire someone else to hopefully, do all the shipping in-house and all that. Maybe that'll really push me to realize how much in the way I am of myself. So maybe that could change. I mean, I don't want to do this thing forever, so I'd have to do something to kind of shift into another mode. So
right. I mean, eventually you'd like to work yourself out of a job.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let the employees do the job.
Right.
You know, I wonder if you haven't yet made that transition in your mind to understanding that what you're doing in Amazon is very much like what you were doing in video editing. In video editing, you're working with a lot of pieces and parts in very fast and making those decisions very fast, but you can see all those pieces and parts. You're a visual guy.
Mm-hmm.
That may be part of your thing, is because CEO may sound too mindy and thinky and not as visual, but really it's the same concept. You have a lot of moving pieces. Your video production had a lot of moving pieces, right? A lot of scenes, a lot of connecting points, and you had to tell the story. You're the editor. I mean, you're the guy that brought it all together. When I see it on TV, it makes sense to me because of you.
Right. Yeah. No,
if you just put the raw film out there, it doesn't make sense to me. You're the one that brings the sense to it. So that is a CEO in a way. And maybe you just haven't made that transition in your mindset yet.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I actually make a comparison like that all the time to Maggie when she asked me, like, how do you know all these things and where this random item is that I bought 3 months ago that hasn't sold until today. I'm like, just having worked in the TV station, I'd have to keep track of 10 different possible playlists that the producer wants and which clips go in which playlist. And I got that all in my head, and some of it I'm writing down, and that's kind of how it is, at my place, at my warehouse. It's a lot of just stuff in my head and just trying to pull it out of places where only I know, I guess. But like I said, I'm trying to get more organized in that regard.
I think you will. I think you will make that transition to that CEO mindset, because you'll be able to begin to see human resources as those pieces and parts.
Right.
Right
Yeah. I
now,
just
you
need
still see
something
it
to
as
replace it.
physical
Yeah.
objects, but you're going to begin to see those human resources as that. And part of that is just growing into it, and the other part of it is just deciding really whether you want to or not.
Yep.
That's the
Yeah,
other
definitely.
nice thing about Amazon, isn't it? Is we can all grow and stay at the level we want to, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you wanted to just put it into neutral and cruise at the $2.5 million mark, all you just do everything you did last year, just do it again. And there you go, right? Or you could implement one or two different, modifications or changes and throw it in another gear. This is a nice thing about selling on Amazon. It does fit almost any person's lifestyle, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Anytime somebody, I'm in a social situation, they ask me what I do, and I start telling them, they're like, "Wow, that's really cool." I'm like, "Yeah, literally anybody can do this." I mean,
Right,
I'm not like a mathematician or anything. I just, it's not easy. I mean, you got to work hard, but
right,
like any idiot could do this if they really tried. I
right,
mean, it's not difficult work.
right. It's not difficult, but it is simple, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Once you get the basics down, it's simple. Once you figure
Mhm.
out bestseller rank, once you figure out how to read a keep a chart, and once you figure out, how to find the suppliers, what kind of way to push um, your resources, your financial resources, manage your credit, those sorts of things, then it becomes simple.
Yep, it's like anything else in life. I mean, the more you do it, practice makes perfect, So you just keep doing it and it becomes second nature. Like I don't even think
Right,
about some of the things I do now. I'm like, "Oh crap, I just worked for an hour. I don't remember anything I did." I blacked
right,
out, but everything's done.
right. Gary has the saying, learn the tools and master the art.
Yeah.
Do you learn those tools, and then the next time you go through it, you're layering in that
Mhm.
information and you just begin to master it. You master it so much, then you're able to teach it so well and bring new people in, teach them, and then benefit by their efforts. So, well, where do you go from here? 2.5 million?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You got the mojo for three?
I think so. I was actually suspended earlier in April, so that took me out for almost the whole month. I don't think I would have got three with just that month back, but it definitely didn't help. I could have maybe
Right.
done a lot more buying where I might not have been buying at the time. But I think I can get it next year. I'm actually moving into a larger warehouse within the same building next month, so that'll really help me kind of keep better track and more organized of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't sell this Q4. I just didn't get around to listing because
Right.
I just
It's
couldn't
kind of
find it for
piled up
whatever.
on top
Yeah,
of.
it's just stuff everywhere. I'm just
Right.
bursting at the seams right now. So, um, yeah, there's just, I mean, I'm sending out like Christmas decorations earlier today to someone in Texas. They're not going to get it for a week. And like I could have had it listed a couple weeks ago. I just didn't get around to it. So, but
So let me ask you this. What do you wish people would have taught you or said to you or shared with you earlier on in your Amazon journey?
um, definitely get help when you can afford it. Um, maybe try to really get them going with taking over a lot of your responsibilities, not even necessarily just helping you out. You want to get them like my Maggie, my prepper, she in the beginning of the year when we started really selling, merchant fulfilled stuff, she just took on that role. She just
Gotcha.
would come in and she just started doing all my MF orders. I didn't even
That's
have
good.
to ask her. She just started doing them.
It's awesome.
So it's just, a couple hours a day or whatever that I don't even have to think about because I know it's being done.
That's nice.
Um, I wish I would have done something like that earlier. Definitely get space if you can. I worked out of my apartment here. I mean, it's still, cluttered, but I worked out of my apartment here for far too long, and it drives you crazy sometimes.
Right.
And I get way more done if I actually leave my apartment and go to
Gotcha.
a separate location where I'm doing work, where I know that's what all I'm doing there is we're doing
Right.
work.
It helps your focus.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Helps your focus. Puts you
Yeah.
in business mindset mode and
Right.
focus. That's
Yeah, and
nice.
it's just far enough away where if I'm bored, I'm not going to come back home. It's like, no,
Gotcha.
I'm just gonna keep going until I'm done, and then I'm
Right.
done.
Right. That's interesting too, it's a good thing as you grow to begin to know yourself, to know that's what you needed to be able to put it in another gear. Hey, I got to get myself out of this apartment.
Yep.
Working in this apartment now is costing me money.
Mm-hmm.
Staying home is costing me money because my focus is lost.
Yeah.
Right. So that's an interesting place that we get to as we grow in business, grow as business people, is learning where we keep ourselves held back. Got to get out of your own way sometimes, don't you?
Right. Yeah. Again, like I mentioned, that's kind of my biggest problem. I'm in my own way all the time. So
Yeah.
cut down on that amount of times I do that.
Well, you get a good woman, they'll tell you when to get out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm teasing you. All right. Dan, you shared some great stuff with us tonight. And I've wanted to get to know you. I saw you. I think I met you a little bit in passing in Kentucky, and I was flying past the tables,
Yep.
and saw you a couple of different other times there. But been wanting to get to know you.
Well, it's because
And
I had to leave early that Saturday. I had the my softball championship game on that
oh,
Sunday. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah, you were doing the softball.
yep,
Did you win?
we did. Yes.
You
Yep,
did.
very exciting.
Okay.
So
Well worth
it
it.
was worth it. It was worth it.
Well worth it. All right. Well, you're a young guy. The sky's the limit for you. I'm on the other end. I'm like, I'm probably gonna go sit on the porch at some point. Um, I'm not ready to yet, but I will be ready to someday. And but you're a young guy. The sky's the limit. You can be anything you want to be, and you could leave Amazon this minute and be anything you want to be. You're bright and very, very capable. And I'm not sure how we found you in Amazon Seller Tribe. How did we find you?
Linez was raving about it.
Oh, Linez.
Like I
Well,
said,
good on her.
she's a master negotiator. I don't know if you know, but they'll know this about her. She could negotiate someone to jump off like a cliff, and she'll convince that person that they'll feel better after they do it. Like she's that powerful. I feel like, but
Yeah.
not that she needed to negotiate me into this, but she was saying like, Dan, I'm making a lot of money because of this. It's really
Come on.
good. So I'm like, all right, I'll try it out.
Yeah.
I spent way worse money on other things. So.
Right. So do you feel like your experience here has benefited you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
I'll be back.
Well, that's what we're here for, obviously, is to, once again, our goal is to help create the most seven-figure sellers in the industry. You kind of already came pre-made, ready-made, you're one of those make-ready packages. But I wonder if we could help create the most $10 million sellers in the industry. Begs the question,
Yeah.
right? Maybe we're shooting too low. Our goals may be too low here. Who knows what's possible together? Tribe makes it more fun.
Yeah.
And once again, seeing faces like yours, hearing stories like yours, helps us know that it's possible. But more and more people can do this.
I just want to say one last thing. I
You.
think I started it earlier. My main motivation for beginning was paying off at least
That's
putting money
the
towards
question
my
I was
student
going to
loan.
ask you.
How are you?
How that was going to be
Jump the
my
gun.
final
I
question.
jumped the gun. Well,
Go
when
ahead.
I graduated, I think I graduated with 85,000, and for the first, that was 2008. For the first 3-4 years, I made barely any payments, if at all. And I remember when I was working at Nesson, Sally Mae called me at Nesson, and I was so embarrassed. Like, I don't think they talked to like my boss or anything, but I was like, oh my God, you can have your money right now. Don't call me here again. This is horrible. But so I think at that point it had ballooned to like 115,000. And that's when I was like, all right, this is just too much. I gotta figure something out. So
Right.
I think that's when I started the eBay stuff. But so I really started putting money towards it, I think right when I had left Nesson, or maybe a few months before. So a little over 4 years. And I think I will have it paid off in 3 weeks. Be my last payment. I'm
Wow.
gonna do it on my birthday.
Wow.
Myself a birthday present.
You give yourself a birthday
Yeah.
present. Wow. As
To go
Tyler
to a
Perry,
dance
or
as
as
well.
Medea would say, hallelujah.
Mhm.
That is, and you just feel like a burden will be taken off of you,
Yep.
right?
Oh yeah. I mean,
And
this is something that, like I told you earlier, this is I thought I would never, ever, ever get rid of anything close to that. You know, I thought it was stuck with me for the rest of
right.
my life. And here I am about to like finally be free. So
Come on, come on. I want you to PM me the day that happens, or take better yet, take a selfie
yeah.
and send it to me the day that happens. So I can do the student loan payoff dance. I'm going to create a whole new dance for that one.
Love it.
Okay.
I'll be
Yeah.
doing that one for sure.
Yeah. Hallelujah. That's so wonderful. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much for doing this interview with me. And I promise not to embarrass you and not to refer to your beautiful blue eyes at all in the rest of this interview. Okay. Okay. I was teasing him a little bit earlier, guys. It kind of embarrassed him. All right. Well, Inez, we owe you a debt of gratitude for bringing us Dan Earl, and
That's my ride
appreciate
or
that
die.
so much. That's right. And so make sure that next time I see you, I'm going to give you a Dan Earl hug just for dragging him into Amazon Seller Tribe for us. No, you've contributed greatly to us tonight by doing this interview, and we appreciate you so much, Dan. I'm going to refer to you as Dan Earl or Dan E, or sometimes just Danny. Just depends on how smart aleck I'm going to be to you sometimes. But I'm super happy to hear your story and get to know you tonight. So hopefully Amazon Seller Tribe members, you'll give a big shout out to Dan Earl for his $2.65 million year. Wow. Woo, woo, woo. All right. If I was in a bigger space, I would do the Cherokee yip. The one that when my son's running down the basketball court, with the ball, I would go and he'd grin. You could see him grin because he'd be like, oh yeah, mom's here now. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, appreciate you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you. It was fun.
All right.